Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be painting this Ceder Waxwing in my watercolour journal with watercolours, and this is the first time I've painted this bird, and in hindsight it was probably silly painting this first time for a video. Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a Ceder Waxwing watercolour painting. So the sketch you can see is a bit messy. I sketched this when I was doing when I knew I was going to do December paintings. I think I've mentioned before, I ended up sketching a lot of sketches, so if I wanted to do a video I could just pick a page and just get straight to painting without having to figure out what I wanted to sketch. So this sketch was, I think, was sketched back in early November and I found it difficult to get the bird just how I liked it, so there's a lot of sketch lines going on. Also, another thing you'll notice today, I don't have tape around my painting. There are two reasons for that. First reason is because I've done the bird so squished, it would cut off half of the wing details, and secondly, I couldn't be bothered. To be honest, I don't know, I don't always border off my paintings. I know it gives off a nice border effect, but sometimes if I'm going to do loose paintings, it's not always needed, and I tend to do loose paintings. Anyway, oh, one last thing. I have done masking fluid. I don't know if you can tell. You probably can. I think this one smushed up though, so I don't know how well that's going to cover up that one as well. But the rest I think are fine. So I've got my Winsor & Newton watercolours here. So let's begin now. So I want a bit of burnt umber just to add to this. Oh, hang on a minute. That's going to annoy me. Sometimes the glass jar, when the brushes that are inside it hit it, sometimes really gets on my nerves. Okay, right, let's try this again. To add a bit of burnt umber to this, just to get a lighter, I say lighter, a less blue type of grey. Do I? Oh, okay. I don't have any scrap paper. And what am I talking about? Yes, I do. I have a whole bunch of scrap paper literally in my desk. Ooh, no, that's really green. Do I have? This might be a better option. So I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm spraying the lid of my palette. I'm going to get this paper towel and I'm going to clean out the watercolour. Normally I like to keep my watercolours for the next painting, but I had a lot of colour in the way of... I had a lot of watercolour taking up a lot of space, so it would be difficult to make new colours. Let's try this again. Do I start again? That's the question. Do I press record? Do I press stop, press record and start again? Right, let's try this again. It's a bit of indigo. Maybe a tiny bit of burnt umber. Tiny bit. Because I want a frosted grey. Okay, now. Okay, that looks quite dark, but we'll find out when I put it on this paper. Let's try this again. That's nicer. A bit more blue actually. A bit more blue. There we go. That's the kind of colour I was looking for. Yep, good. Okay, so I just hit this bit. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to use my brush to spread this out. Just going to be careful around the bird. Now, funnily enough, this bit here is too much pigment. A bit darker. I wanted it a bit more light. I'm just going to dab it with a tissue. And then just sort of rework it and just do it a bit lighter. And because the branches should be darker than the background that I'm doing, I don't have to worry about too much about if a bit of watercolour gets on them. Hopefully I don't have to worry about that. So these are my trusty Winsor & Newton watercolours. I've been using the Phoenix watercolours a lot, but I've gone back to using these. Okay, I'm going to do this here as well. Alright, so I'm going to add a little bit of, get a bit of sap green. And just add a little bit to the background. What's that green? Oh, add a bit more water to that. And that'll dry very lightly, which I want it to, because I tend to get like carried away with adding a lot of green, and I think I was about to say bleak, but that's not the right word. Like I said, I wanted to keep it frosty, like a frosty grey background. Okay, so I am going to wait for that to dry. Okay, sorry, I couldn't tell if I pressed record there or not. Okay, so we're going to now make our colours for our bird, for our waxwing. So this is very nice, light beigey brown part of it, so I'm going to use burnt umber and I'm going to water it down a lot. And then there's a transition into the bird where it's more of a grey brown, so I'm going to do the same trick, bit of indigo. I'm going to add a bit more water to it. Maybe it's a bit greyer than that, but I want to add it I want to add a little bit of pigment, little by little. I'm just going to do a brush to separate those two colours in my pan. So it's beigey brown, bit of light red, and then a tiny bit of this actually. I'll just mix this in a bit. That's a ooh. Ah. Okay. I'm on the right track there. This bit of light red. Okay. Begin. do, I might take my bigger brush. And just go up to just the section before I need to add different colours. This might just help. Colours transition over a little bit. That's a bit, oops, I lost my beige colour a little bit. It's a bit of gumbo shoe maybe. It's down here. So then up here is the grey part where it's still beigey grey, I guess is the best way to describe it. Bit of light red. Ah, there we go. It's kind of brought up here slightly, bit down here. And it's also on the wing. I've never painted this bird before. Right, so this part is quite orange. I'm going to get some cadmium orange hue, a little bit of light red. A bit here. Ooh. Okay, I'm mixing these two together. I'm just going to see if I can wet my brush and just pull this bit out here that I've managed to do. Just like that, because obviously here's where the colour's pulled a little bit, so I might just dry off my brush just a tad and just use a bit of a dry brush to pull the pigment away a little bit. But the only problem is obviously this line here has stayed, so I might just get some plain water on my brush and just try to pull it out. Right, so to use this colour again. Another darker section to this. Tops of this wing as well. So the patterns on the bird, this grey down here as well. The next main colour on the very the vibrant patterns on the wing. Well, I say vibrant, there's some black, yellow and red. I don't want to mix just yet and mix it too harshly, but I can probably mix the colour. So my Winsor & Newton, my Phoenix watercolours have black, and my Winsor & Newton, the set that I've made myself, does not. So I think I've done this before. I tend to take Van Dyke Brown, I take indigo, and that is how I just make my own black, or dark, really dark grey as well. So there we go. And then I'll use that once obviously the bird is dried. And let me have a look just to see. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. See if I can. I think to add finer colours to this bit as well. I might need to wait for it to dry a little bit. Right, I'm going to let that dry. Okay, now that that's dry, well, forced dry, I just mixed, oops, a little bit. So I'm just going to get a little bit of water just on a smaller brush. Just pull out some of this. Needs feather definition, I guess. But like that. And then I'm going to do the same. Although there's not much to do, obviously, on this wing compared because it's a bit more tucked away, but I will just do a little bit. Okay, so that is that bit. Now I did just realise, is this red enough? Sorry, not that one. The light red. Is that red enough for that part of the bird? Not really. It's quite a bright red, so I might actually, when I add the red, I might still red off my Phoenix watercolours. Also for the berries as well. I don't have a really bright red in this set, which is a shame. I think when my light red is run out, I might replace it with a cadmium red. Okay. Now I've got to make a decision. If I do black first, I can't put a colour over the top if I get the pattern wrong. If I get the colour pattern wrong, the black will go over another colour easier, but it will be an underpainting. So let's just do the black part, because I know I can always, if I really mess it up, there is always the option of acrylic markers to add the bright colours in, so it gives me a bit more safety. Okay. Now while I'm doing this, oops, wrong one, wrong brown. While I'm doing this, obviously my paintings aren't or illustrations. I would describe them as never fully realistic, I would say. So like this bit here might need maybe a little bit more work, but I'll see once I've added this bit first before I go ahead and I start changing anything else. Okay. Now, there is one thing that I have done. I have drawn the sketch, the wing, a lot longer than it actually is, but I can still work on it if I do it like that. Okay. And then this bit is yellow, so if I imagine it with longer, okay, no, that's a lot longer than it than should be, but never mind, because this bit at the bottom of its tail, oops, might need to add a bit more to make that back to the dark black or dark grey, I guess. It's this bit. And because this bit transitions into the grey colour, it's going to get a lot more water. I might be able to just gently, very gently, get these bits here to touch. Like that. And like that. Okay, and I'm going to have to draft my brush, pull this bit up. It looks strange right now because the way I've drawn it, it's this bit is the tail underneath. This is the bit on top. This will be yellow. See, this is why you don't paint. Ooh, your first time you've painted this bird on a video. So this bit here is mixing in, that's fine. It's not too wet, so I don't think it will feather out too much. Oops. Looks like grey. So, get my black again. I'm really enjoying this. It might actually, hopefully it'll make a good video to, you know, watch me kind of figure out a new bird. I'm having fun doing it. Okay, and then over here. Okay. From the way it's holding its wing, I don't think you can see the coloured part, because I think obviously opposite, I think the colour would be over on this bit. So, try to do it like that for the yellow. further definition. I don't know if it's needed. Oops. Maybe I can lighten that up. Let's touch the black a little bit. Maybe pull it down, just down the middle, just a slight touch. Ooh. This is a very fun bird to paint. Like, it's very brown, but it's still so colourful as well. Okay, making, oops, I keep picking the burnt umber rather than Van Dyke brown. I mean, they still make a dark colour, but I absolutely adore painting birds, but I'm not that skilled at being really good at fine details. I think I mentioned before, like when it comes to fine liners and doing ink work, I like to do stipple work with my pen because it doesn't take as much steady hands. And I don't want to, you know, mess up the details. Okay, right now it looks like a masked robber. But, so this bit here, there's a white line just there, so I don't need to paint that bit. I'm just going to get a lot of water on my brush and just go straight into that grey colour. Just touch the beak a little bit. And I'm going to wash that brush, dry it on the paper towel, and then pull out that colour. Oh, I did manage to get a bit in the background. That was not intentional, I just can dab that back out. And then I take the darker colour and I just touch the tip of the beak, and because it's wet and wet, I can let it go down the beak the way it wants to. I'm just going to add a little touch, that a little bit, because this bit's white, but because I've sketched the beak slightly wrong, it's not quite how it is. You can see the pencil mark, so I can add white afterwards with an acrylic marker. Okay, so I don't know, I really like the idea. I've got two choices. I can either, oh, I have realised something though. I can either do acrylic marker to add the really bright fun colours, or I can do the watercolour, but I think I might be going on using acrylic markers. I thought this, when I added the grey, I thought this section had a different colour. Unfortunately it won't blend as well because it's already dried, but that's fine. There we go. Okay, so if I am going to do, I'm going to use markers for that, for the sign bit, and then I can probably start on the tree branches then. Now, they're quite grey, their feet. So I'm trying to decide whether I want to do them with pen or test how steady my hand can be. I might stick to pen. I'm a little bit neater with pen. Not by a lot, but slightly. Okay, I'm going to get a lot of Van Dyke Brown. Okay, I'm trying to figure out which tree branch to work on first. Probably this one. I'm going to try and paint round the feet, but because if I'm going to do them in pen, it will draw over. Okay, so also we're going to do the same here. It's a technique I like to do personally. I like to do for trees. I like to do a really dark colour at the bottom of the branch or trunk, and then I wash off my brush, and then I get it to do this. And sometimes, like now, if I don't think there's enough pigment in this section, I will just keep adding it to the bottom bit and hope it. Cauliflowers to the upper section, like that. And because this bit of the orange on the bird was still slightly wet, it is mixing together, but that's not a problem. Now here comes the concentration on this tree branch. There as well. I'm just going to do the same thing. Now these two branches are joined together, so I'm just going to mix them together before this part had dried, because then obviously there'll be a line here. Okay. And just the same again. Because when I sketched this, I think I sketched it with the idea in mind that I was going to, just sorry, getting some more Van Dyke Brown, I was going to do a border on it, so this bit up here is a bit more freehand, but now I think this is the last one. Now the sketch is here. But I'm going to change its position. I know the sketch will still be visible, but I can probably do the thinner branches over the top of it. Or because I've done this one, now that that's, I'll just get some more Van Dyke brown. Now that that makes more sense in my mind. Basically, I'm trying to make sure that they look like they connect. So now this one. Can connect to this branch here. Like that. Though I will say that one is quite thick compared to this, so I can just add a little more. And then if I just do this corner just like that, it then touches this branch. So then it's just one big branch. Just like that. Now I'm going to hunt around in my paintbrush jar to see if I have a thinner paintbrush. Well, I mean, I know I have thinner paintbrush, but to find the right one is what I meant to say. So this yellow one is very thin. That might be good. I don't think I've used it yet. I've used the green, which is one size up from this. Let's give this a go. Okay, this makes me nervous. Oh, I think I just flicked water on the black bit of the wing. Okay. Oh, wish me luck. Ooh, oh nice. They're really thin. Although I am still finding it difficult. I can't seem to get enough pigment on it to actually get a smooth. I guess that makes sense. I guess maybe smaller brush, less. Oh no, maybe wasn't enough water. Okay, no, I think I'm getting the hang of it. I think I'm getting the hang of it. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Okay. Grab some more pigment. Let's add some branches here. I don't know if I needed those ones. They actually look strangely shaped. Again, I could use acrylic marker to make some berries, because I think when it comes to obviously I've decided that that's going to be acrylic marker. I might do the berries as well with acrylic marker. There's nothing wrong with doing it with watercolour, it's just because I've already used these, I don't know whether I really want to prep my other watercolours, because they're really big in frame compared to my Winsor & Newton ones. Although it could be some laziness as well. I'm not afraid to admit that. It could also be just some laziness of not wanting to get another set of watercolours out. Might make that one a bit bigger. And then these ones up here, because they have berries on them. I don't know if you heard that, but it did a little squeak. The paintbrush on the paper did. Do another one here. And this area is looking a bit plain. I might just add. Oops. It's fine, I'll just do that to add a bit of texture. Okay, so now, before I put my watercolours away, well, it's only a small pan, a small palette, so I'm trying to just make sure I don't need it for anything else before I use the hairdryer and everything. I don't think I need them. I have an about to say an artist caddy. It's not, it's just a caddy to hold stuff and I put art things in it. And that's the only problem is though, I did a big cleanup. And so to utilise space, I obviously put stuff on top of, like, so my pens are in a tub, but then I have other art stuff on top of the tub. So then obviously I have to go ahead and I have to move the other stuff on top of the tub. I can get to it, which I know it sounds like, again, it sounds really lazy, like, oh no, I have to actually move stuff to get to my other stuff. Now how bright is this? Nope, that's not that bright, that's almost pink. That's a contester, that side's quite red. And there's this one itself. Oh. Sharon Marsh. Ooh, oh dear. Oh. Okay. Well, I didn't mean to do that. Let's just screw that back on. See, that's lovely and red. So that's might beat that one actually. And then I have, I think it's right down at the bottom. So, oh, everything's falling apart. Just trying to grab. Oh no, I almost dropped my lid. So then there's, this is the one I was looking for. Then I have that for the yellow. That for the yellow. Oh. Oh no, this. It's kind of an orange. Although maybe not, because that's more orange than that. Okay. Ooh. I'm only trying to find. Oops, I'm just trying to find. Okay, I think I found it. I was literally just about to pause the recording and meet you back. Okay, so this is a Creative Sharpie marker, but this is also a Creative Sharpie marker, but it's not a brush nib like this one. Although, oh, I think I know why it's not that clean. I used it the other day for another painting for ironically berries as well. Okay, so let's try. That's nice and red. Let's try this one. Probably this one. Sorry, Sharpie Creative Marker. You've been cast aside. Not forever, just for this painting. But not to worry, the acrylic marker from Deco Time was also cast aside for this painting. So, okay, so I have this yellow. It's quite nice. Ooh, Shore and Marsh might be winning for all the pens actually. And these aren't branded ones. These are ones that I got just at a supermarket. They didn't have a... Have I? Oh. You know what? Nope, I'm not spending all my time for the rest of the video doing that. Never mind. I'll prep them later on when I get a chance, so they're ready if I ever do use them. Okay, so basically these two ones, the Shore and Marsh ones, and that was a very long segment to watch me do that. I'm sorry. I think I've drawn that a bit too far up, but it's not too bad. Because this bit's white. All of that effort, and I only needed the red for that on the bird. For the roses, no, for the berries, I do need a lot more, but for that bit, that's all I needed it for. I needed the yellow more, and because these are obviously they're acrylic markers, but they're water based. So if I'm not careful, it will smudge a little bit. Under the, can you see? Under the tail here. Although you can see the sketch through that a little bit. Now this bit here, I think I just missed a section. Because this bit, oh I did, it's also meant to be black. Oh, okay. Well, this white from my Deco Time has a black. So this is just to brighten these sections of white up. I hope this still matches. Because it's darker than the paint that I made, so it's okay. I just do little lines like that. It then sort of becomes little feather details. You can get around these little things. And then it'd be difficult, but it did have a little white line just around the edge of the wing. So I might just have to get that piece of paper to clean off the white nib. There we go. I don't think you'd be able to see the white on that side. And the nib's nice and clean again. I'm gentle when I do that because obviously I don't want to break it. Oh, I almost forgot this. Oh, never mind. I almost forgot this bit's bright white, quite bright white as well. And the eye. Now for the eye bit, it's a good job that this marker's darker than the paint, so it stands out. And obviously I'll add some white highlights into the eye. Okay. See if I can rub it out. I don't know if I can. Just there's a line here where I sketched the bird and I put the wing in the wrong place, and I don't know why I didn't rub it out. There we go. Problem solved. Okay, so now we are going to, I don't know how long I've been recording for. What's the masking fluid? Although, one problem I had planned to use with watercolour, these berries, so that's why I use masking fluid, because obviously with acrylic marker, because it goes on top of stuff, they wouldn't need masking fluid. You could just add them over the top at the end because the marker covers over the art that's already down. But because I planned to use watercolour, I put masking fluid. So the one time, that's the irony of it, I tend to sometimes forget to put down masking fluid, and the one time I did remember, I didn't end up using it. But that's fine. It also means I can add any extras that I think need to be added. Add some smaller ones. I've just realised these ones, all the others that I've done, kind of like have branches. Those ones just look like they're floating. And then I realised, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little sketch where I was going to do a branch there that I haven't done. But if I'm light enough, I might be able to just get a very small pen and maybe do some branches. So they don't look like they're just sort of floating. Here, one here, a couple over here as well. So I mean, it's I think it's only the start of this year, or maybe maybe not, maybe halfway through last year that I've started using acrylic markers. And because obviously I'm not an acrylic painter, I'm not good with acrylics, I just kind of dismiss the idea of acrylic markers. But I have a huge, well, no, it's not huge, but it's a large box of markers that I use a lot for this type of accents to my drawings, so they're very useful to me. Now I'm going to mix a bit of this black grey just for the top bit. Mix it together a little bit so it blends rather than just being harsh. Just cleaning off the nib again. Now I'm just getting my white gel pen and I'm going to add little highlights to the eye. Oh no, I'm not, because it's not going to write it. It's not actually going to go over the black. Never mind. I'm going to get this one. There's my other gel pen. Get thinner ones, or at least just do like a little line around the eye, just so that's a, there you go, that's a bit better, just so it kind of not being too harsh, so you can tell it's the eye. Add little highlights to my berries. Although because I'm going to be adding snow, maybe that's not too necessary. Now I did say I wanted to try and get a thin pen, just I need a tiny little line there, just so I can feel like it's connected to the branch. See, that's all I needed, that tiny little line is all that I needed. Right then. Oh, it's masking fluid, or is it a piece of rubber? Okay. How's this going to go? Right, so I'll get my ink. I'm going to try and be a little bit more gentle than I normally am when I add the snow, simply because I don't want to completely cover all the details on the bird. Maybe a bit too much ink. I'm liking how that looks. Okay, that's all I'm going to add. I'm going to stay true to my word and not go overboard with the snow. Okay. Now, one thing I did forget to do, I was going to do some watercolour to do some green, just add some speckles, but I'm not going to. Sometimes you plan things and you think, oh, I'm going to do this, and sometimes it just doesn't happen, for better or for worse. Okay, so I think apart from it drying, I think I'm pretty much finished. I do have to clean my desk up afterwards. So I'm going to give you a close-up. So I really like how it turns out. I'm proud of it for a bird I haven't sketched before, but also I have to say to myself it was probably a bit silly to paint a bird that I've never painted before first time on a video. So normally when I do my robins, for my Christmas robins, I painted them a couple of times, but this I'm just going to, I don't think I can rub out that little branch there. That's smudging. Yeah, it's smudged a little bit. Yeah, I'll leave that because I mean there's wet ink on it anyway. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Please leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you thought about this painting. Have a good day. Bye.